On tonight's dialogue, it's all about the Benjamins. We'll look into ways to make your money grow. Tim Griffith will expose you to all the nuances of the stock market. Travis Williams will expose us to the other investment platforms and talk about Social Security. The dialogue will also pay tribute to the late Florida U.S. Congressman Alcee Hastings. Dialogue with Dozie.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Dialogue with Dozie. Hey, glad you're here. KV may not make it tonight. He's on assignment. If he gets in, that'll be our bonus tonight. You're here. We're here. Thank you, Facebook Live. Thank you, YouTube Live. Thank you to our outstanding audience for coming and joining us every Monday night, 8 to 9. We've not missed the show since the second week in May of last year. I'll be talking a little later about the exciting anniversary we have planned for the second Monday in April, which is the night following Mother's Day on this year. We're going to celebrate 1 year. 1 year, the dialogue has been fresh and you've been a part of it. Dialogue with Dozie tonight is going to look at ways to make your money grow. It's a busy news day, but we're getting right into the dialogue. We're going to be talking very shortly about how we make this thing happen. How do we make it grow? Now, I don't care what stage of life you are, these experts are going to give you great advice tonight. If you're in pre-retirement, if you are just starting out, or if you're already in retirement like I am. I learned from my next guest that doesn't mean that I'm stuck there. He's going to come on right now and tell you all about it. Minister Tim Griffith is on his way into the dialogue. Hey, Joe, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing? How you doing? It is a plum-pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege to be invited to the big show with the big fella. I am cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, excited about dialoguing tonight with Dozie. So I don't know if you can tell, but I've been bubbling all day to get to the big show, and I am finally here. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good, my brother. I'm great. Listen, I told you he had the energy. He has the information. He has the inspiration, but he has the encouragement and everything else to go along with it. You already got a taste of his energy. It's going to be an awesome, awesome hour. He's going to tell us all about it. Hey, Tim, take a second and just kind of familiarize our audience with you. You can leave out the part about where you did your undergraduate degree. We get former all-girls school. We'll just leave that be.
Well, hey, everybody, listen. My name is Minister Tim Griffith. I am an associate minister at the Hopewell Missionary Baptist Church, where my pastor is the Robert Stanley, and I'm also the CEO of TLG Fashions. It's a men's fashion store located in the North Miami area of Miami, Florida. 14135 Northwest 7th Avenue. So if you need any blazers, if you need any cufflinks, you need any ties, you need any suits, whatever you need as it pertains to fine men clothing, hey, I got the hookup. So that's that. That's what we do. I like to, one of my hobbies, I love to play golf. And I play golf with a lot of different pastors. Me and a guy named Jack Holmes. He owns Mama Lucy's barbecue there in Miami on 119th Street and 22nd Avenue. Some of you all may have had some of his all-pro ribs. We started a golf league, and it's called Chasing Birdies. So if you ever want to get connected and want to become a part of the league, we do some exciting things. We give back to the community. We invite you to come and golf with us. But with that said, what I really like to do is investment, Dozelle, and you know it. And man, I want to get in the bag tonight. I want to get in the bag all four corners. So Dozie, man, what say you?
Been a part of SNS Sunday Night Stocks now for about three months or maybe a little better. And man, listen, I, as a pastor who preaches every Sunday, I usually guard my Sunday evenings, but there's now like an automatic clock that 10 minutes to 8, man, go get that computer ready, get it warmed up. It's time for Sunday Night Stocks. And the same energy folks that you see here he brings it on with a lot of information that can change your life financially. Tim, what led you to start SNS?
Well, you know what, man? What I want to do, Dozie, right before we get into it, man, because you know I'm passionate when we start talking about this thing about stocks. So let me go ahead and pop this disclaimer. And the reason I want to do this because I may pop off some hot stocks tonight. So I hope you got your glove mitts on because it's gonna get hot in here. Yes, sir. But with that said, this is not financial advice, family. This is for entertainment purposes only. We aim to educate, excite, and empower. For you to make your own personal financial decisions free and apart from any speakers on this live tonight. All financial decisions made by viewers should be done after speaking with a licensed professional. And with that said, hey, Dozie, I want to get straight to it, man. I want to keep it straight with no chaser tonight, baby.
Is he an entertainer, an attorney, preacher? He got it all wrapped up in one bottle. Tim, tell us. What we're going to talk about how you got into stocks and everything, but what I'm just excited about what you're doing with this virtual program. Tell us what brought you into doing the Sunday night stocks program and what's the genesis of it and the purpose and so forth.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you asked that, Dozie. The reason we started SNS, Sunday night stocks, it's a format with like-minded investors that come together. It's a community of investors because if you really look at it, Dozie, for a lot of us, we didn't have the opportunity to learn about investment in middle school, in high school, or even college for some people. You know, we were kind of locked out. And man, I started investing and I started making money and And I'm just being honest with you, man. I felt like them 4 lepers in the Bible. Remember them 4 lepers when they came, they said, man, it is not good for us to have all of this wealth and all of this abundance to ourselves. Let's take it back to the camp and let them know, hey, there's a party over here. So, man, I was making money, man, and continue to make money in the stock market. And man, I wanted to share this knowledge with anybody that was receptive and that wanted to learn how to create the type of generational wealth that you and your family and your children's children can live thereby with. And we started out with 4 people. It was Roz. It was Kevin from New Jersey, Roz out of Detroit, Bishop Randy Holtz out of Miami, and it was myself. And we started investing and we started getting into different things and option plays and stuff like that. And we started making money. And then the group said, it is not good for us to just be making this money by ourselves. We got to open this thing up, man. And henceforth, through the pandemic and everything been locked down, shut down, we launched SNS, man. And we have just a great family, man, from all over the country, Connecticut, I mean, Atlanta, New Jersey, we really get into it.
Yeah, I know you have there's at least 20 people that sign on. I'm learning where some of you're putting some of the locations, some of the names that I've been looking at because we're so focused while we're on and we're talking about a topic and there's not a whole lot of personalization because it's business and we kind of get into that. Then at the end we wind down and we kind of chill a little bit. But you said all the way from Connecticut and the Northeast and Detroit. I know Detroit and the A and down here. Is there anybody in my hometown? Anybody in Duval? Because if not, we got to get some Duval.
We got you. We got you.
Okay, all right. Well,
you represent
my
Duval.
papa would love to hear that because he says I forget that where I'm from sometimes because I love it down here and I love being down here so much. Tim, what first got you in the stocks? I know the thing that it's a great intro. You saw how good his intro was. I know what his intro's got to be like when he preaches because he always has a great intro, everything that he does. You caught me the first time when you said, man, I remember going to Dolphin games and seeing people just, the cost of concessions and everything. And they were at a game and they were just not holding back because it was a time to just enjoy themselves. And why can't I have this kind of financial opportunity to do the same thing? If I want to splurge a weekend, why can't I do that? So what kind of put you into the realm of getting into the stock market?
That's a great question, Dozie. And the thing that really just scratched my back, you told part of the story just then, with going to games much, when I was in, I grew up from Liberty City, Miami, 53rd and 19th Street. Went to Olinda School and right there in Liberty City, Miami. And, back then, the police officers were a lot friendlier. Police officers came around and you were happy to see the police officer when they came through the community because one and two, they were always bearing gifts. They either had dolphin cards for you with all of the games, and some officers they would give the officers dolphin tickets. We didn't have Pro Player Stadium where you see, what is it, Seminole Hard Rock Stadium right there in Miami Gardens. We didn't have that. It was the old OB. It was the Orange Bowl. That's where Dan Marino put it down, in the Orange Bowl, where the Marlins Stadium is now. And the police would come by, man, and they would just give us, in the neighborhood, they would give us free tickets. Even though they were nosebleed seats, we were so happy to get those tickets, man, and be able to go to the Orange Bowl and see the Miami Dolphins play and see the Miami Hurricanes play. But I would be at those games, Dozie, man, and I would see our Caucasian counterparts, man, just enjoying themselves and just, Becky and dropped the popcorn and the hot dogs and spilled a couple sodas, and nobody would get mad. Oh, don't worry about it, Becky. Hey, 5 or 6 more, bring them out, get what you want. And I would just be sitting there as a young man, like, man, wow. And I knew, man, even though I had the free ticket, mom had to give me, back then, you can grab the bus for 35 cents, then you paid 15 cents for a transfer. I'm dating myself now, I know it. You can take the jitney down there, you know what I'm saying? And mom would save up all week, man, just so that I can have transportation to and fro to get to the thing. And mom would tell me, hey, listen, she would pack me a sandwich, which was peanut butter and jelly. And I would have to drink water from home. I would eat a sandwich home, and then she would give me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to tuck down in my pockets. And she said, don't drink all your water because you got to save something so when you eat your other sandwich, you can put it down. And I was so excited, Dozie, you know what I'm saying, to be able to do that. And, she would, have that little round trip bus fare for me to go to the Orange Bowl and come back. But I would just see my Caucasian counterparts, man, just enjoying themselves, family of 6, family of 10, family of 12. And they were spending money, man, like it was growing off trees. And I never understood where all this wealth came from and how they were just being able to do that. And then there were younger guys that were my age that looked like they came to the game with some other friends and they didn't have any adults with them. And they were spending money like it was growing off trees. And later on, I, come to find out about this thing called the stock market and investing. But I never knew. Nobody never taught me. I always had this interest, always wanted to know how to do it. But I never could find anybody that kind of looked like me with Kushite type skin that was in this space. And man, so all of those years, it was inside of me, back in my subconscious, on this thing called the stock market. And I tell you what, man, I started training myself after I got out of college and got through seminary school and got my degree in biblical studies. And I just started training myself and started looking and started, reading good books and, books like this here by Abraham on option trading, and just started immersing myself. And then when the likes of YouTube came around, started watching stuff and doing this. And one thing led to another, man. And I started just immersing myself in it, man. Nobody never really taught me, kind of like how it is on the golf course. I'm self-taught in golf, never went to an instructor. And that's pretty much how I got into it. I know it was a long answer, but man, I wanted to share those intimate details because that's the passion that bubbled into me to get me to learning about this game that's called the stock market.
Did you start Sunday Night Stocks just before the pandemic, or did you start it during the midst of the pandemic?
Sunday Night Stocks was birthed during the pandemic. Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you do anything? Do you advertise anything on, or is it kind of an intimate group? I think I know, but just for the audience, or
yes. Sunday Night Stocks is just, like I said, it's an intimate group of like-minded believers. We open it up to our members and people that are part of our consortium. to be able to invite whoever they want to invite. We don't do no advertising. We're not on any social media. I don't take the Zoom and take the Zoom live and put it on Facebook pretty much like we are, YouTube like we are, because then I think you kind of lose that intimate touch. It kind of get commercialized, and then I'm not able to speak with our investors and other, questions and concerns that people may have, or they may be in a position and want to know how to pivot out of a position. So it's kind of like a close-knit thing that we do, and we don't want to do any advertisement. If our members want to invite somebody on, they can invite somebody, but God gave it to us that way, and I think we ought to keep it that way.
And that's what I was asking. Do members have the opportunity to invite others in to just see, to get a taste of this good medicine that you're putting down every Sunday night?
Oh, absolutely. Anybody, matter of fact, anybody that's listening to me now in this dialogue with Dozie, if you want to join our consortium, we meet every Sunday night. We go live at 8 p.m. All you got to do is email me at tlgfashion@gmail.com. Matter of fact, the information is right there on the screen. You can join us every Sunday night at 8 p.m. And if you will, Dozie, I'd just like to talk about a few things as it pertains to the stock market. Maybe you're going to lead up with that.
Go right ahead.
Okay, great. You know what a stock is? STOCK. A stock, ladies and gentlemen, is nothing but a certificate of ownership. That's all it is. It's a certificate of ownership. A lot of places that you frequent every day, your Best Buy. Why you don't have any stock in Best Buy? Your Costco. Why you don't own any stock in Costco? The children eat Pizza Hut, KFC, Taco Bell. Why you don't have any stock in that? Walmart. You in Walmart every other day. You don't have any stock in that? Foot Locker. You don't have any stock. These are just a few companies that all trade on the New York Stock Exchange. And you ought to be a part of ownership in those particular companies. When I walk in Costco's, I feel good about going in Costco. Know why? Because I own a piece of it. I feel good about going in Best Buy because I own a piece of it. I feel good when I walk in Walmart because I own a piece of it. Foot Locker, I own a piece of it. We were taught back in the day, Pastor Dozie, we were taught about a bank account. And a bank account is primarily used for checkings and savings. We were never taught about a brokerage account. Am I still on, Pastor Dozie?
You're good.
Okay, all right. My screen just had frozen. I didn't know if I was still on. So you got a bank account versus a brokerage account. A brokerage account gives you the ability to invest. It's an investment account. And a brokerage account, there's several people, but you got TD Ameritrade, you got Robinhood, and you got Webull. We were not taught in school about brokerage accounts. We were told, and people told us about bank accounts, but never told us about brokerage accounts. So if you got $500 extra and you got it sitting in a checkings account or a savings account in Bank of America or Wells Fargo, what is going to get you in that savings account? 0.00.00. So if you put $500 in the bank tomorrow and you go in there a year from now, it's going to be less than the $500 you put in. Know why? Because that particular account may have fees where they're charging you $5 a month just to hold that $500. So now you didn't pay $5 for every month that you've had that money in the bank. Not only that, inflation didn't hit you. The price of bread, cereal, milk, and gas have went up. So now when you get ready to purchase them a year later, they're higher. So your $500 is not $500. Listen, Facebook family, YouTube family, dialoguing with Dozie tonight. Listen, you need to open up you a brokerage account and make your money work for you.
You said you're actually talking about certificates. And of course, I kind of got the inside. You trained me well. But could you kind of explain to our audience and welcome Ms. Phyllis Fern? These are our regulars. Glad to see you. KB, maybe be on later. He's probably not. But we've got an action-packed show. We're with a dynamo right now in Minister Griffith. Griff, would you kind of just let people know that when it's going up and going down, that they're not actually losing money when it's seen as going? Would you explain that process? I know you started talking about it a second ago, but
Okay, yeah, I'll sure do that. Thank you for that question, Pastor Dozie. Let's just take a stock let's say Tesla, TSLA, ticker symbol TSLA. Somebody put that in the chat. Tesla, ticker symbol TSLA. And if you Google Tesla right now, you Google Tesla stock, it'll give you its price. I didn't have a chance to look at it today, but last night when we were on SNS, Sunday Night Stocks, Tesla was trading at $677 per share. All right, so let's say you purchased one share of Tesla. You took your stimulus check, which is $1,400, and you was like, man, I don't want to, just spend it all on nothing. But what I am going to do, I'm going to buy me one share of Tesla, and I'm going to let it sit there. I tell you, that is a great choice. So now what happens is you purchase that one share tonight, and Tesla's, let's just say right now it's trading at $677 per share. And then tomorrow you wake up and Tesla has pulled back $50. And so now Tesla is trading at $627 per share. All right, you like, oh, wow, man, I bought one share and now I'm down $50. I've lost $50. Let me hit the sell button. No, you don't. No, you don't. Don't hit that sell button, because stocks have what we call a photogenic memory. If a stock has been there before, it'll get back there again. So it was at 677. Now you're seeing a little correction, or you seeing a little consolidation, or what we like to call on SNS, you seeing that the stock has done a little pullback. There's different reasons why stocks do a little what we call pullback. And so the stock is pulled back. You haven't lost any money. It's what we call a paper loss. You'd only lose money when you shake Mr. Dow Jones' hand when you hit the sell button. And on the other side of that coin, you can only make money when you shake Mr. Dow Jones' hand and you hit the sell or buy button. That's it. So it's just a paper loss. Yes, there's a little red in your account because the stock has pulled back just a little bit. But if you know Tesla, Tesla is a very volatile stock. I got in Tesla when Tesla was about $200 per share. I've rode it all the way up. Tesla has since split. It got up to 2,500. It split. And when it split, Tesla did for all of us who had certificates of ownership, they gave us 5-1. In other words, if you had one share of Tesla, because of the split, they gave you 5 more shares. When Tesla split, and it split down, went back down to like $400 on the split, well, $500 on the split, and it since rolled back up to $900 and it's pulled back. So that's what happens when you have a stock that pulls back on you just a little bit. It's not a loss, it's just a paper loss.
Hey, what is the financial consideration for a split? I've heard that. And, of course, in my household, there's a bootleg who's a follower of SNS and gets all the advice and makes it work for him too, man.
Leave my sister alone. Leave Sister Vanna alone. That's my girl.
But the split. Tell us what the split. What's the financial consideration of a split?
Well, what happens with a split? Great question, Pastor Dozie. What happens when you see a stock split? Let's take Apple, for instance. Ticker symbol, somebody put this in the chat, AAPL. That's the ticker symbol for Apple. That it the day $102 per share. And whenever you see that, and the reason you see a split, Pastor Dozie, in certain stocks, and the reason Tesla split is because sometimes the price target gets so high that they can't get other investors in. In other words, Tesla went up to $2,500 a share. A lot of people can't afford one share of Tesla at $2,500. So in order to raise a little more money, an owner like Elon Musk, they would do what's called a stock split and bring it down. And what happens, you may say, well, that hurts the investors that are already in there. No, it doesn't. It just gives you more shares at the same price rate that you got in, and it allows the company to be able to raise capital, bring it down, and bring in new investors, which will ultimately jack the stock price up even higher than where it was when they made the split. The company, president, CEO, to make money, and it's another retail to make money too, that gives us more shares.
Explain to me something I've been hearing for 6-8 months, and now I'm fully informed about that. Tim, if you don't mind, hey, I got several other financial minds on tonight. Can you stick around with us tonight?
Oh yes, man. I don't have a problem sticking around with you all tonight. But Dozie, do you got another minute? I just want to let your listeners know about a great book that I would like to recommend.
Go right ahead.
Hey, family, this is a great book right here. It's called Black Wealth, White Wealth. It's by Melvin Oliver and Thomas Shapiro. This is an awesome book, and it explains to you the racial divide, and it goes through everything that has kept us as African Americans in a what we call racial inequality, but then we call earnings inequality. And this book breaks it down. We're not as lazy as people suppose. We're not just sitting on our hand. Back in the day, slaves couldn't own property. Slaves couldn't be business owners. Slaves couldn't amass wealth. And what slaves had to do when they did get a little money and they did get a little wealth, what slaves did was that they had to buy their freedom with the little bit of money they had. They had to buy their freedom with the little bit of wealth they had, and they had to buy their family members' freedom with their wealth. So they weren't able to amass. And that's what the stock market gives us the opportunity. We must understand this dynamic between racial inequality, earnings inequality, consumption patterns, denied access to quality education, job training opportunities, having been convicted of a felony, having a bad record, bad credit. The stock market is available to you to create the kind of generational wealth that'll make the Queen Sheba come and say, the half has not been told. Glory to God.
Listen, I want people to understand this is not reverse racism. This is just saying there has been inequalities, and the stock market is one way that we can kind of equal the playing field. And
yes,
it's our opportunity to get involved and to do just that. Tim, I got Judge Hubert Grimes on, and he's going to come on right now. And last week we lost a giant in South Florida. The nation lost a giant, and our community lost a giant. And I'm like Judge Grimes, who is my cousin, by the way. I call him Judge Hastings. And my reason for calling him Judge Hastings is even though they stripped him of his judgeship, he's always been a judge in our community, and he's risen above that statute as far as career path. And so retired Circuit Court Volusia County Judge Hubert Grimes is coming on right now, ladies and gentlemen, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about the life and legacy of our mentor, our friend, Justice Grimes, Judge Hastings. Are we able to get him on camera, or do we need to go out and come back on?
Well, it got me on microphone, but it's not showing up on camera. Let me see.
Okay.
There it is.
Okay, good.
There it is.
How you doing?
Bless, my brother. Bless. Glad to be alive and well.
That's Brother Timothy Griffith. He's off for a second, but he's doing an outstanding job. Our cousin Curtis is on. He's going to talk about some other planning in just a second. But if you would, you just tell us a little bit about Judge Hastings. And do
phenomenal.
What you got to say. Your Facebook page was par excellence.
Phenomenal man. Born in Altamont Springs, Florida. Of course, I always admire the fact that both he and two of his other, I like to say, running buddies, all rose to great heights coming out of that little small area. For many that might not understand, Altamont Springs is very close to Sanford. And, Sanford has had a lot of negative energy or negative display based upon, the Trayvon Martin matter. But Judge Hastings, excuse me for the cough. Judge Hastings, of course, was very close to two other, I should like refer to them as classmates or growing up mates, none other than Wally Orr, who rose through the ranks, literally was a butler at one point in his life, a driver, and became ultimately the Secretary of Labor for the state of Florida under Reuben Askew. His brother, Wally Orr, started SEEDCO, which was called the Seminole Economic and Employment Development Corporation. And as a result of that, was able to put a number of people to work, building businesses in that area. I say that to say that, there are many who seem to think that those who came from the segregated South or went to segregated schools are limited in what their capabilities are. And this is an example of a man, Judge Hastings, of course, as I'll always know him to be, rose to the ranks of being the first federal judge in the state of Florida. Beyond that, federal district judge, should I say, in the state of Florida. And even thereafter, after he encountered issues with some politicians that ultimately wanted to have him removed, and many people believe it was because of his outspoken nature and the things that he said, some of the rulings he made, even dealing with a number of the Haitians. If you remember during that season, while he was on the bench, this was between the time period of the late 70s until 1988, 89, there were many people who he dealt with the issues of the Haitian immigration. And there were those, and because of his outspoken nature, he not only wrote it, but he also spoke it. And because of that, many people believe that that led ultimately to the reasons that he was set up and ultimately was indicted for bribery. They never could prove he took one dime from anybody, even though there was the FBI had set this thing up. He didn't do anything, but yet he had to go to trial. And he went to trial. They won the case at trial. He was acquitted. And then, of course, 3 years later, there were those within the Congress that were not satisfied with that result. And so ultimately they started impeachment proceedings and succeeded in removing him from the bench. However, because all of us who know Judge Hastings, he's not a quitter. And of course, he decided that he would run for Congress. And he ran and ultimately was seated beside many of those people that were his detractors, many of those same people who sought to have him removed. Ultimately, they had to serve with him. And he actually outlasted many of them. He served a total, of course, of some 28 years in Congress. He was not somebody that could be shut up. He advocated for those, the least, the last, and the lost. He was just a man of justice. And yet he walked with kings and queens because of his intellect. But at the same time, he never lost the common touch. He was able to relate to people at every level. And so we've lost a giant. We've lost someone that, certainly would have continued to lead us on forward, but he fought the good fight of faith. And of course, we know that unfortunately, a little over a week ago, he lost that battle to cancer. And we're just glad that we had an opportunity to be able to get to know Judge Hastings. For me personally, I look back and I credit him with being the person that pushed me into private practice. It was back in 1985, and I was working here for a nonprofit, and we had actually lost our state funding. And so I found myself trying to keep the nonprofit going. He had come up to speak for us at an event. And during a one-on-one moment, he said, "Hubert, do what you went to law school for, practice law." And that ultimately set the stage for me, as I did a few months later, went into the private practice. I actually ended up practicing law on my own for about, along with his former law clerk, Mr. Ron Polk, God rest his soul, who is now deceased. But Ron and I set up Grimes and Polk law firm, Fort Lauderdale and Daytona Beach. I served in that role for some 3 years, and then I decided to run for the bench and got elected. And who sent me my first letter of congratulations? Judge Hastings. Judge Hastings. So I'll always be indebted to him, to his memory. and certainly to do our best to try to continue on with those things that were important to him, which was helping the least, the last, and the lost.
I ask you this: what is it about? We know the clergy. It's a calling that, and certainly you're in both roles now. That's called also as an advocate. But tell us a little bit about the law profession and its affinity for advocacy or advocating in the community. Was Judge was he kind of out of the box and kind of led the way in that area? Just kind of elaborate on that, if you would, before you get out.
Well, I liken the practice of law also to ministry, because we're called upon to help people. And, if you look at the New Testament, much of the New Testament was written by whom? By Paul. And Apostle Paul himself was a lawyer before he got into and was called into being a minister of the gospel. And so I don't think that has changed any today. Sometimes people label lawyers as being all kind of negative labels that you could attach with. But the reality of it is, for those people who are in the trenches and trying to deal with people's issues, their problems every day, law is a ministry. We're there to try to help people get through whatever their problems might be.
I think Representative Federico Wright really gave him the ultimate tribute. He was a man's man, and you just kind of reiterated that he was not going to let him get him down, and he stood up. He was flamboyant. He was humorous. Man, the good Lord packed a whole lot of punch in that earthen vessel.
Yes, he did.
Coming by. Thanks for coming by today, and I'm sorry that we're not able to see you, but you're coming on and talk your own book and some things that we're going to talk about judicial reforms in the upcoming weeks, in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So thank you. Come on, anything else you want to say before you get out, go right ahead.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Not only did Judge Hastings affect my life, he affected the life of many Black lawyers throughout this entire state and even around the country. Even since I wrote the tribute to him that I did on Facebook, I've gotten a bunch of calls from other lawyers who themselves had their Alcee Hastings stories. Stories, of course, of how he motivated them. Sometimes when he came to people who were having difficult times, some of whom were, even challenges within the law itself, within the bar. But yet he never lost the common touch. He was a man's man. Thank God for his service. May his celebrity and may his work continue to speak into the generations ahead. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to share a couple words.
Thanks, Judge. God bless. And
Thank you.
We're going to get back to our economic panel. Griffith is still here. My other cousin, Judge Hastings, Judge Grimes is our cousin. My other cousin, Curtis Wright, he's coming to us from the great Atlanta area. And my nephew, Travis Williams, are coming on, and they have their own areas of expertise in this field. And so let's just welcome them. Let's see, it's Curtis. Oh yes, okay. Hey, Kurt. Listen.
Hey.
Kurt, in fact, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. 2 times in 2 days.
Don't worry. It seems like it's a family affair, but you family, man. So we all one big family, Griff.
There you go.
Look, Kurt, the other day, just as we were signing off from a family conference, you talked about legacy planning, and I know you got to get out of here, but would you just shoot that by us for just a second?
Yeah, I heard a little bit of the whole piece on investing, and I agree that one of the ways to build wealth and pass on to the next generation is ownership. So, and what we've historically done is we've, after slavery, the first thing we wanted to do was own property. So, and that's still a great idea. We started our own businesses. And now one of the things that we've probably done a pretty good job in the last 50 years, but a long ways to go, and that's ownership in these multinational companies. And I tell people, companies like Apple, I heard the minister talking about Apple, they're here to stay. And why shouldn't we benefit from those companies? And And I give you a little bit of my background. I'm a CFP, a certified financial planner. And as I sit down with people and meet with them, I try to put together a plan for the long haul, and not just a plan for what's going to happen in their life, but their children's and their children's life. And the Bible says that you create an inheritance for your children's children. And that's what I try to do as I sit down with people and look at things like their investments and how do we pass those on to the next generation? How do we pass them on with as minimal amount of taxes as humanly possible? And how do we pass them on so that they can go to the next generation and the next one and the next one after that? Unfortunately, in our community, and most businesses don't make it past the owner. So they don't make it to that second or that third generation. So I sit down with people to say, if that's a plan, let's do things like put life insurance in place. Let's do things like make sure that your investments have beneficiary designations so they pass to who you may want them to go to. Are there family businesses that need to be structured in a way to help them? So really it's a holistic picture. I try to help them put together a plan of not only just how much money can we accumulate, but can we take that money and create a legacy for our kids, for our communities, for our churches, for our universities, so that somebody will one day be able to say, this came from Pastor Bonner and versus and someone that they may have never met. So, Dozie, I don't know if you're still there or not.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Success stories? I just want to ask you before you get out. Can you share some success stories, and I'll let the panel ask a question if they like also. Can you share a success story that you've had?
I'm dealing with a young lady now, and she's probably late 20s. Her mother unfortunately died on Christmas Day, just last year. But her mother was smart enough to have things like life insurance in place, smart enough to have a 401k in place. So I'm helping her with that whole process of not just how do we move the money around, but how do we create something for her daughter? So there's a young daughter that my client has, and I look and say that I see myself as a tool in the tool belt, and like most of us do, that let's take that knowledge and pass it on to God's people so that they're a little better than before they met us. So that's probably a recent one. And unfortunately, over the last 19 years, I've dealt on the other side with customers that have passed away and helping those loved ones with, now what do I do with this money that has dropped into my lap? So and like saying, it's a process. So I sit down with them and put together a plan for not only them but for other generations. But I guess to answer your question, the young lady I'm working with now is probably the closest one to the top of mind, and there's all type of tax issues there because she's inherited qualified money from her mother, and there's some rules that we got to make sure that we play by, or we end up with a partner called the IRS that we give the money to a little early. So,
listen, guys, would you all have a question before I ask him to come on? He's got to get right out. Would you all have anything you'd like to ask or add to what he's talking about with this whole idea of legacy planning? It really intrigued me the other day when he talked about it because it's bigger than just us.
Yeah, like I say, I told Dozie that I'll be available in the future so we can go more in depth, because I've kind of hit things at 30,000 feet, and each one of those silos, you could spend an hour just talking about that alone, and how to properly take things like stock and make sure it's passed on with minimal amount of taxes. You can't avoid them all, but you can do some things to help avoid some of them. So, and things like life insurance, how to structure that right, how to put it in a trust, those type of things. So.
Hey, Kurt, thank you so very much.
You're more than welcome. Thanks for.
Really appreciate it here.
Yep. Thanks for allowing me to be with this high-powered group. I need to go and clean up a little more the next time.
Oh, we good, man. We good. Thank you, cuz.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Hey, God bless all of you, and thanks for what you're doing. I tell clients that African Americans, we got started to the table a little late, but we're just as smart as anybody else, and for the most part, we have as much money as anybody else, and sometimes we just don't have the knowledge of what do we do to make that money grow for us and grow for generations in the future. So
thanks, Kurt.
Hey, God bless to all of you, and thanks again for letting me be part of your group here.
Thank you, bro. You'll be coming back on shortly to go more.
Okay. All right. Be careful what I ask for.
Yeah. Listen, our audience, we're so grateful to you and so grateful for you bearing it. We're reading your comments. We appreciate you giving props to what we're trying to do tonight. This is the kind of high-powered orientation and training and everything that I get every Sunday night on SNS with Minister Tim Griffith. And I also have my nephew on, Travis Williams. He's going to be talking about the bucket. I just want to see if it was that. Okay, no, that was still okay. All right, Travis, come on and tell us about what you do and kind of what Griff will kind of tie in.
Yeah, well, fortunate to have.
What you used to do.
Someone just muted. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we get you.
Glad to be here for this conversation. It's a vitally important one. And my background is I did something a little different out of college. When I graduated college, I had a choice to get a job or start a business. And so fresh out of college, I opened up my own practice. It was an insurance practice at the time. I interned with a company in college and became licensed to sell certain products and really got my feet wet in the financial services industry. And both of my degrees are in finance, and was in this internship. It was the top internship in the nation for people who want to go in the financial services industry. Very, very aggressive and tough internship, but had success. Was one of the top interns in the country, and really decided that, man, I think I want to try this out for a career. And so opened up a firm, and God blessed it. We had a lot of success, worked with clients in about 20 states, and I actually sold it a couple of years ago, but still love the industry and all the lessons that I learned from being in that industry and working with clients and learning about planning and teaching clients about planning. And so I think this is an important discussion that we're having.
Okay, talk about that bucket you were telling me about.
Yeah, so one of the ways we used to teach clients about, as I used to say, there are different financial tools. And so you'll hear people say things that you shouldn't do this, or you shouldn't have that, or don't use that kind of product, or only use this. And we just didn't develop that philosophy because just like a tool, you have to use it for the right situation. So yeah, if you need to put a nail in the wall, you wouldn't use a screwdriver. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But a hammer will make a lot of sense to use in that situation. So the same thing with financial planning. There's different tools out there. And so we would educate our clients on these different tools, investments or accounts, by talking about buckets, the different buckets you can put money into. And it's terminology a lot of folks have heard before, but really there are four main buckets you can put money into. And those buckets are separated by how it's taxed going in, how it's taxed as it grows, how it's taxed when you take it out, and when you can take it out. So those are the different ways that separate the buckets. Taxes going in, tax as it grows, tax coming out, and then when you can access it. So the first bucket is a taxable bucket. Taxable money is money that you put into something after tax. So it's money that's already in your paycheck, and it grows taxable. So as it grows each year, you can pay taxes on those growth, and you can also possibly be taxed on the back end. But these are vehicles like cash, CDs, stocks. These are taxable assets. And you can be smart with the taxes. So for instance, like a stock, once you sell it, then you realize the gain, right? And once, as it's growing throughout the year, if you never sell it, then there's no taxes. But once you sell that account, you pay capital gains taxes on it. And that's why it's a taxable account. This account is very liquid, very accessible. You can turn it into cash very quickly, like a money market or a CD or an ETF. All these, a mutual fund, all of these are highly liquid. There's not an age minimum before you can access it. So they're generally great for short-term goals. Generally, some people use it for long-term goals. People hold stocks for years, decades. But that's taxable. The second one is tax deferred. Tax deferred is a bucket of money that you put in after tax money too. So it's your take-home pay money, and it grows tax deferred. That means that as it's growing and accumulating wealth, those taxes are deferred until later. You don't have to pay taxes annually as it grows. And on the back end, you pay taxes, but you pay taxes on what's called the basis. So the tax basis is what you put into it. So an example is things like real estate will fall into this. Certain annuities fall into this bucket. Cash value life insurance falls into this bucket. So if you bought a home and you paid $200,000 for it, but let's say in 5 years that home is worth $300,000, you're not going to be taxed on your basis. You're just taxed on your growth. And so this tax deferred bucket is great for your mid or long-term goals. There's no age minimum. For most of these, you don't have to wait until you're a certain age to access them. But it's people who have tax problems because of their income, the tax deferred bucket is a great bucket of money. And that's why you see a lot of people gain their wealth off of real estate, because there's a lot of nuances and things you can do with this bucket to create tax benefits. The third one is tax deductible. This is what most people are used to for retirement planning. This is where your 401k is and other pre-tax vehicles like certain SEP IRAs, individual IRAs. This is because the money goes in pre-tax. So before you get into your paycheck, the money goes into this account. It's called tax deductible because you can deduct the income from your deduct the contribution from your income when you file your taxes. But it goes in before tax, grows tax deferred, and then you pay all your taxes on the back end. So every dollar you take out is fully taxed. So again, this is your 401k, your IRAs, and they have minimums on age. You can access it before 59 and a half for certain reasons or education reasons or other emergencies. But for the most part, 59 and a half is when you have to wait. You're hit with a penalty if you access it for other reasons. Ideally, this is a retirement bucket. And the last one is tax-free. And that's something like a Roth IRA or Roth 401k, where you're putting money in after tax, it grows tax-free, and you can access it tax-free. This is ideal for long-term goals as well, like retirement. There's a minimum of 59 and a half in most cases of when you can access it. And so you can see they're different. There's a whole spectrum. And then there are other investments like things like 529s for college funding, which would be a tax-free type bucket. You don't necessarily have to pay taxes on those dollars if they're used for the right thing. You could have some taxes, but for the most part, it would either be a tax deferred or a tax-free vehicle. Things like trust for a minor will go into that tax deferred type bucket as well. So there are different accounts across all these, and it's not whether one is right or wrong. The way you determine if it's right or wrong depends on your need. When do you want to access it? How long is it going to grow? What's your liquidity need? And then how safe or risky do you want the investment to be? And so that's the way you can look at it. When you look at all your assets that you have, are you just in one or two buckets? Are you spread across the different buckets? And that's the best place to be, is to have this diversification among these buckets.
bring
You
yeah, that's fascinating information. I want to bring Griff back in because I want to kind of we got just a couple more minutes on this segment. Griff, Travis talking about taxes, and I know one of the questions that came up was taxes on stocks. Can you all kind of merge that issue? When do those stocks become taxable, and how do we deal with that, Griff? How do we plan for that?
Well, what happens is, Pastor Dozie, great question. When you're managing your 401k and it's being managed by what we call the money managers at whatever organization, like my wife is in the school system, so they have different programs set up. That's different from when you're managing your portfolio yourself with either a Webull, TD Ameritrade, or maybe you may have Charles Schwab, E-Trade, or something like that. And it's pretty much most people are familiar with a 1099 at the end of every year. Whichever brokerage firm you use, they will give you your statement, your yearly statement, and you'll have gains and you'll have losses on there. So a lot of times you may take some losses in different positions. Those will count against your gains, and then you just take that 1099 for lack of terms, or that statement that the brokerage firm give you, and you just give it to your tax man, and it goes toward whatever income you have made in addition to your own stock portfolio that you manage, and your stock person, whoever do your taxes every year, whether it's H&R Block or if you have your own family personal stock person, will take that down. Just like, me, I've been a licensed real estate agent for well over 27 years. And when we sell homes and do those things at the end of the year, we get a 1099 statement, and you will take that to your tax person, and that counts towards your income. So that's how it works as it pertains on this investment end when you're managing your own portfolio.
Fascinating stuff. Trav, anything to add? Thanks for bringing that whole issue, those buckets for that tax coverage, shelters, and how to prepare for that. Because a lot of times we see people who come into money and they don't know how to handle their tax situation. Sadly, we see a lot of entertainers and athletes, and they end up losing sometimes fortune just handed to them. And anything else before? I think you had to get out also. I don't know it's going to be that side, just joking. Listen, we do a segment, Tim, usually it's called Are You Serious? Or Shout Out. Tonight it's a little different. And after the segment, we're going to bring you back on, and then we're going to get out of here. Just let you clear us out, maybe give us a couple of hot stocks, and we're going to get out of here. Tonight's session is called Dang Dog. Dang Dog. Dang Dog. Here we are again, America. More police problems. More police problems with the African American community. Dang Dog. More lives have been lost. More people have been harmed. More people have been dealt with wrongly. Dang Dog. America, when are we going to get this right? When are we going to correct this? Dante Wright, and the name sticks to me because it's also the name of one of a kid that I coached. 22-year-old black male on the suburbs of Minneapolis died innocently on last night during a police struggle. A life lost again. Dang Dog. Listen, it's supposed to be an accident. And in all honesty, after hearing the police body cam and hearing the police lady who fired the fatal shot, her initial reaction would lend to that being just that. But listen, guys, this stuff got to stop happening. For a misplaced tag or a tag that's not a misdisplayed tag, or for a tag that has an expired date on it, or for a possible counterfeit $20 bill. Dang, dog, this got to stop happening. It's not worth taking people's lives, even in accidents. That's why policemen, we've got to use our heads a little better than this. Listen, this time last summer, we were all caught up. We were right prior to the George Floyd murder. And right after that, a lot of protests took place across the nation. I saw a post that said that George Floyd read more of a protest across the world than even the murder of Dr. Martin Luther King. And I'm not so sure that was inaccurate, because I remember both very well. But over a possible counterfeit $20 bill, a man puts his knee on his neck for 9 minutes and 47 seconds. Dang, dog. Listen, officers, we just got to think better than this. I know you don't get up in the morning and say, let me find somebody to take out of here. Let me find a black person to pick on. But dang, dog, it's just coming down. There's too many of us that are on the other end of this. The crime does not fit the ramification, the death, or the loss of limbs, and at the same time, hey, bro, I got to talk to you, sis, I got to talk to us. We know what time it is. For whatever reason, we know what's going on. We know what the results have been over the last many years, and particularly since we've had video cams to really show it and to put it out there and to make it in front of the public's eye. Listen, we got to use better judgment also. We cannot give a policeman any reason in this world to put his or her hands on us, because bad things can happen. Dang, dog, Minnesota, here we go again. Listen, when I first started dating, my mother told me when I would go out, don't do anything tonight that's going to change the course of your life that you hadn't planned for. Whatever the context of that was, whatever the context is, I'm saying to us as a community, think. You got to give yourself a chance to at least get a date in court. You can't let them snuff your life out. And at the same time, officers, I know what it's like. I worn your badge. I worn your gun. I know what it's like. I know that you have split-second decisions to make. But sometimes err on the side of caution. There's no reason that a taser should be confused with a handgun. The weight is different. The color is different. I just heard the police chief say that it's worn on different sides of your waist, so you specifically would not make that same mistake. Dang, dog, America, we can't go through this again. We can't have another summer like we had last summer. Listen, we've got to take every precaution. We've got to exercise every ounce and every iota of our training. We got to give people a chance to survive what's going on. My original ding dog tonight was for the artist DMX. Dang, dog, what a waste. I'm told that DMX was given as a 14-year-old male by his manager a marijuana joint that was laced with an inducing drug that he was not able to shake throughout his life. Whatever the cause, whatever it was, dang, dog, we just lost another great artist. We've lost Michael Jackson, not necessarily controlled substances. The greatest loss in my lifetime to this was 2016, a loss of Prince, unable to get cured for being hooked on opioids. That's Prince. He's world renowned. But there's somebody listening to this program who has lost a son or whose daughter is hooked right now. Dang, dog, we got to turn this thing around, America. We can't keep throwing everybody in jail. We've got to really get serious about rehabilitation. 2 lives, one life lost last night. 1 Army officer tased unmercifully and asked to let it go, basically. DMX, unable to shake an addiction that could happen to anybody. We got to stay on bended knees, world. We got to keep looking up, and we got to use our heads. That goes for everybody. I don't want to keep saying dang dog because we've lost another artist. Listen, we're going to bring Griffith back on, and we're going to close the night show out. It's been too good and too strong to end on a note like I'm wearing black. This has been that kind of day for me when I heard again what happened in my beloved suburb of Minneapolis and right in the midst of the George Floyd trial. Griff, give us some hot stock action before we get out of here, man.
Hey, family, listen, all of you all that's joining us via Facebook, via YouTube. This has been a wonderful dialogue. I tell you, I got a page full of notes here. Dozie had some great guests on tonight. It was a pound of knowledge. You know, people talk about a pound of flesh. It was a pound of knowledge tonight. But hey, listen, if you're listening to me tonight, I want to give you two stocks that you can take a little portion of your stimulus check and you can invest in these stocks. And I tell you what, if you put $100 on each one of these stocks, by this time next year, you will have that $100 will have made you about $500, if not more, if you invest in these two stocks. And I'm gonna give them to you tonight. They're hot off the press. All right. I'm gonna give you one in the biotech sector, and I'm gonna give you one in the EV sector, electric vehicle. The one in the EV sector is CCIV, ticker symbol CCIV. It's Capital, Churchill Capital. Investment Corp. They've merged with Lucid Motors, which is going to be one of the baddest EV companies around. That stock right now is trading probably at about $22.97 per share. It's a great time to jump into that stock. The one in biotech is we call it Bingo, but it's BNGO by Nanogenomics. BNGO is the ticker symbol. It pulled back today to about $6.79. That stock will make you a lot of money. If you just drop $100 on it, you can really, really, really turn that 100 into 5. All right. So those are two hot stocks. We got a whole plethora of other hot stocks. Join us every Sunday night. SNS, Sunday Night Stocks.
So you already know we're going to have to get you back on real soon, Griff, and give us an update. Anything you want to say going out of here, brother, you have just been awesome. And I can't tell you how much we immensely appreciate you coming on and being with us tonight.
Man, I'm glad I was able to be on the big show tonight. I just want to thank you for having me. Shout out to Sister Varner, Lady Varner. Shout out to your daughter Toya for just doing a magnificent job, man. The sound check was awesome. Being able to get in the room and cover some technical things that I was having on my end. Your staff, your team is very professional, man. And I'm just glad to be in the space. And I just want us to continue to not only pray for dialoguing with Dozie's community, but pray for SNS, and let's pray for our country as well, that we get this thing right. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, we can do that on this show. Thank you, brother. God bless you and keep you, Griff. Lady Griffith, be blessed. Thank you. Saturday Night Stocks, Sunday Night Stocks, whether you see it listed up here. What an awesome time we have. You see how energetic he brings us this information. He'll be back. You got just a taste of him tonight. If you have any questions, real quick, hit us up. And even after he's gone, I'll make sure that we get together and we get you the answer to that. Griff, thank you so much, brother, and God bless you. We love you, man.
Love you too, man. God bless. Have a great night.
Listen, I've got to do this myself tonight, so let me do this. The way I see it is that we have had opportunities, but we haven't always had the capital. We've had the knowledge and didn't have the capital. We may have had the capital and not have the knowledge. There's no excuses. Now we've got young, energetic brothers like Bro Tim Griff there and others, Bro Travis Williams, Curtis, who's a little bit older, have come on and showed us how to make our money work for us, how to earn money, one of the things that Griff will say, maybe they get a chance to say it tonight, was instead of that money just sitting in the bank, hey, let it make some money for you. Let it make some money for you and not just for a financial institution. So just want to say to you that the way we see it is that the opportunities are there. And I like the way he started off by saying, going to those games and seeing other people enjoy life and to remind us that we too can enjoy the same life, the same opportunities. We just got to put a combination of the capital, and it doesn't take a whole lot. You just got to get started, get your feet wet, get into the start game. Plan a 401k. It's never too late. Learn when is the best timing for you for your Social Security. Get a financial advisor, get a financial planner. Make your money do the best it can do. You work hard for it, now let it work hard for you. That's the way I see it tonight. Listen, we're brought to you by GoBlackInc.com, and we are what we are because of the fantastic team that you just heard Tim Griffith talk about. It's professional. It's awesome. You see this display. They do Coach Curtis Dean's program. They do She Speaks' program. They just did the National Black Chamber of Commerce. They do awesome work. That's the great team. Toya Glenn and her family, her team. GoBlackInc.com. All your production needs, everything you need, particularly during this virtual season, they can make it happen. Let's GoBlackInc.com. We're out of here. Next week, listen, we are running very rapidly to our anniversary celebration, and that's going to be on the second week in May. KV is working on a fourth. We've already enlisted the service of comedian Antoine Turner. He's been with us before, and man, Antoine Murphy, and man, he is hilarious. We want to do a live broadcast from a venue in the Duval area, and all of our Phyllis Fern, all of our fans, all of our family, we want to come together. We're going to look back at clips, and we're going to just have a good time. Some of our old guest hosts, Ms. Linda Scott, she doesn't know it here. She'll be here. She and Antoine will set the place afire. KB and I'll do the broadcast side by side for the first time. We just want to look back and look forward. We want you by our side. Thank you again for being with us. Dialogue with Dozie. We're looking to see you this time next week. The show is on tolerance. We have some of the usual cast will be with us, and our larger panel shows we'll be talking with the same-sex couple. We'll be talking with the young lady who wants to talk about women's rights as far as their own bodies. We'll be discussing all of the ramifications of all of these. There's a biracial sister that's going to be with us and talk. We're going to talk about tolerance, things that maybe some of us never had to deal with, they've had to deal with. Maybe it's intolerance over tolerance. That's next week. Dialogue with Dozie. 8 o'clock, 8 to 9. See you then. Listen, God bless you. Have a great week. Have the best week of your life. We'll tell you that. That's what we want to have until we see you this time next week. Dialogue with Dozie. Bless you.